Hi friends! Today we're talking about youth livestock programs, gaining wisdom by learning from experience, and the importance of teaching kids about livestock and where their food comes from. Whether kids are involved in a formal program or have their own projects on the homestead, farm, in the backyard, or even a rented space at a nearby farm, raising livestock can be a life-changing experience for kids. Let's get to it. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey friends! First, a huge thank you to all of you. We hit 30,000 downloads on the podcast last week. This is episode 79 of Get Goatwise, and we're getting close to 100 episodes. I'd love to celebrate the 100th episode by hitting 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. Some of you have already clicked on over and left a review, and if you're one of those folks, thank you. But if you haven't, and this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in your livestock raising goals, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 30 seconds to leave a review. Just search Get Goatwise on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to ratings and reviews, tap the purple words, write a review, give me some stars, and share a quick thought. Your review helps more families discover the show, which means more people taking control of their food supply, and that's what this is all about. Here's what's happening on the ranch this week. The first snow of the season fell on Saturday. It wasn't much here, and it won't last, but the mountains around us are white. Darcy and I just got back from the Utah Fancy Poultry Association Fall Show. 3 full days surrounded by feathers and friends. We made it home while it was still raining, but just before the snow started. The show was so fun. It's grown every year we've attended, and what I love most is seeing how intentional they are about youth involvement. Kids who've never even held a chicken before can borrow a bird, get a little coaching, and enter showmanship. And it's amazing. You can see the spark light up in their eyes, and my nephew was one of them. Some of those kids will go home and start raising chickens. That spark, that connection, it gives me a lot of hope for the future of agriculture. Speaking of kids and livestock projects, Darcy has been asking for ducks for over a year now, and she finally got her wish. She bought 4 little call ducks at the show. They're adorable and hilarious to watch, and honestly, she's going to learn a lot raising them. We're all going to learn a lot. Now, I like to think I'm a pretty practical person when it comes to livestock decisions. Some people say I'm too practical, and they're probably right. But letting Darcy get those ducks was one of the most unpractical things I've done, right up there with the silky chicken she talked me into last year. And there's a reason for that. All kids are different. Some take advice to heart right away, others need to learn through experience. Darcy is one of those experiential learners. Someone giving advice doesn't always land for her. Not because she's disrespectful, but because that's just the way she's wired. She has to live it to really understand it. And that can be hard for me because, like most parents, I'd prefer my kids learn from other people's mistakes instead of repeating them. But I'm realizing that sometimes the best thing we can do is give our kids safe places to fail while the cost is still low and the lessons are still gentle. So I'm letting her take on some small, low-risk projects where she can make her own decisions and her own mistakes and have her own success. We talk through the possible outcomes ahead of time. She has to fund these projects herself, and if she's okay with the potential consequences, then we go for it. My hope is that as she has more of those experiences, the kind where she realizes, oh, mom and dad were right about that one, she'll start to weigh advice differently. Not because I forced it on her, but because she's seen the truth of it play out in real life. Darcy's fiercely independent streak is her superpower. It's what will make her capable, creative, and resilient someday. But right now, my job isn't to tame it, it's to help her learn how to harness it and use it wisely. So, even though this little duck project makes absolutely no financial sense, it makes sense as part of her growth. She's gaining experience, ownership, and hopefully wisdom. And who knows? She might really dig in and make the ducks financially sustainable, or she might just have some really cute pets. And either outcome is fine. If you look at youth livestock projects purely from a practicality standpoint, once you figure in the time commitment, they rarely pencil out. Not always, but sometimes the return, at least in dollars, is usually pretty slim. But when you shift the lens and see them as youth development programs, suddenly they make perfect sense. They teach responsibility, consistency, problem solving, and grit, all the things that matter far more than the profit margin on a handful of eggs or a few pounds of meat. And honestly, organized programs like these, along with non-formal youth-owned livestock projects without the show ring component, are the heartbeat of the next generation of agriculture. Every young person who learns how to care for animals, how to manage time, how to follow through on chores, they're learning the skills that sustain rural communities and food production. If we don't invest in that, we lose not just our future farmers, but the deep connection between people, animals, and the land that agriculture is built on. And that spark is spreading beyond our own kids. My nephew I mentioned earlier, who doesn't have any ranch or livestock experience except when he visits us, decided to jump in too. He actually showed a chicken at the show, a little bantam owned by a young man who also helped him show, and now he's the proud owner of 2 of them. They'll live here at our place, but he's committed to coming out on weekends to do the chores and take care of them himself. He's learning the ropes, getting his hands dirty, and I loved seeing that light in his eyes that I saw at the poultry show. That's how it starts. One small, sometimes unpractical project at a time. And that young man who helped him? He's reached mentor status at the young age of 16. He's now a youth ambassador for the Utah Fancy Poultry Association, and he's just what the industry needs. Young people who are passionate about livestock and are willing to share their knowledge and excitement with other youth. So yes, the ducks are impractical. The bantams are impractical. But both are planting seeds of responsibility, confidence, and care that will grow into something lasting. If you're raising kids and goats, or kids in anything, remember that sometimes the unpractical decision is actually the most practical in the long run, because these small projects are how our kids learn confidence, discernment, and stewardship. And if we want a future where agriculture is still personal, still family-centered, and still rooted in care, it starts right here, in these little barns and backyard projects with the next generation learning by doing. I hope this episode gives some insight into the importance of getting kids exposure to livestock and giving them some ownership in raising animals. I've heard so many adults tell the story of how youth livestock projects changed the trajectory of their lives. It's profound. And I think it's what we long for as humans, to steward and care for something meaningful. Even if they don't choose a career in agriculture, at least they'll have an understanding of where their food comes from and how much work it takes to do it. If you have any questions, come on over to the community and start a conversation. That's at getgoatwise.com/community. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.